Hello, everyone. This is Naveen Samuel. I'm the President and CEO of Front Desk U, and I have with me today Joe Piscatella, and he's the author of 13 best-selling books. He's been a host of 3 PBS television shows, a guest expert on WebMD. He's also the member of the NIH expert panel on cardiac rehabilitation. He designs and facilitates community wellness programs. In one program, 650 people lost 4,200 pounds. He's a popular speaker to corporate, association, medical, and dental groups, and over 2 million people have attended his program. So, Joe, welcome to the program.
Naveen, nice to be with you.
Thank you. So I gave you a brief introduction here, but I'd love for you to tell us your backstory.
Well, yes, because it isn't like I had a PhD in this stuff. It's been more of a real-world way to get to it. In 1977, when I was 32 years old, I went through bypass surgery. My children are very young, ages 6 and 4. I hadn't been married to my wife 10 years at that point, and it just kind of came out of the blue. And the prognosis was not very good. I actually had one physician tell me that because of my age and the aggressiveness of the heart disease, that he suspected I would not live to be 40, that the chances of seeing my children graduate from high school were slim and none. But we didn't take that prognosis as gospel, and instead I started to investigate and became an authority on healthy lifestyle habits and the impact on health and longevity and quality of life. So in practicing those healthy lifestyle habits, which revolve around diet and exercise and stress management and positive attitude, I'm now 38 years post-bypass surgery. There are some thinking that I may be the longest living survivor of bypass in the United States. I did not change my parents. I did not change my DNA, but what I did do was to institute healthy lifestyle changes and stick with them for all of this time. So the area that I write in and lecture in, and my area of expertise, is really how do you live a healthy lifestyle and make it work in the real world.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. That was a good introduction. What I like especially about what you were talking about was your how you allow people to realize that they can create a better lifestyle for themselves or a healthy lifestyle for themselves. So because I'm in the health field, that's one of the things that I also love to talk to my patients about. But it seems that because I'm in the dental field, I almost feel restricted, by talking to people outside of the dentistry field.
Yeah.
But there are patients, a lot of my patients that come to me that have had previous heart surgery or they're currently being treated for heart disease. So can you, talk to me in the audience and see, what is a good way of approaching a patient who is either in risk of heart disease or he already has been diagnosed with heart disease?
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't even have to be heart disease because, as you know, there are so many connections between oral health and other types of health in the body. Cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes, even osteoporosis are all connected, can be connected to oral health. So I think a couple of things. One is I think as dental health professionals, you have an opportunity, and in fact I go a little further and say really have an obligation to counsel all of your patients about the link between good oral health and general health and how lifestyle habits fit in. I think when people live with healthy lifestyle habits, their chances for oral health, good oral health, really goes up. The other thing is in the modern world of medicine these days, dental health professionals probably end up spending more time with the patient than a physician does. So you've really got an increased opportunity to educate patients on the need to make smart decisions with regards to diet, exercise, stress management, and attitude, and obviously, of course, smoking. I think you'd get a wonderful response to that.
Okay. Well, you brought up a very good point about oral health related to the systemic health too. So obviously something that I come across a lot with my patients is periodontal disease, and there's been a lot of research to show that's been linked with a lot of other systemic diseases like heart disease and diabetes as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I don't think a lot of patients really understand that. So I think you have a wonderful opportunity to introduce a new way of looking at total health and a new way of looking at the impact of lifestyle habits. A lot of patients have heard this, from everybody from their physician to Mrs. Obama, eat better, exercise more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they may not have heard it from their dental health team. And I think this gives you a great opportunity to really help put that patient on the road to total health and not just stop with oral health.
All right. Good. Thank you. Can you give us a specific example of how you've been able to help someone, or let's say you've been able to help a company or an organization?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I do is to provide practical information, middle-of-the-road information, stuff that works in the real world, along with the motivational factor. For example, I've been writing for years and years and years that the Mediterranean-style diet is the best way to go, and that is based on not just the science, but also based on my own personal experience. So I avoided all of the no-fat stuff, and I avoided all of the high-fat, low-carb stuff to be right in the middle. And I can't begin to tell you how many people I've counseled on that and had them come back to me to say, not only has my cholesterol come down and I've lowered weight and my blood pressure's come down and my blood sugars come down, but this is a diet that it's a dietary pattern that I can live with. The food tastes great. It's really kind of middle of the road. So I think that practical approach has been of benefit to a lot of people. The second thing is I'm good in talks and even in writing and motivating people and getting them to see that they are in charge of their health, that they have an ability to make small changes that over time add up to huge changes. When we talk about making lifestyle changes to benefit health in general and cardiac health specifically, we're really talking about an evolutionary, not a revolutionary change. So I think I had a letter today from a 55, or an email today from a 55-year-old woman who serves in the military and was in Europe and got chest pain, and they had to fly her home. She went through bypass surgery, and now she's wondering, is her military career over, and how is this going to affect her family, et cetera, et cetera. And so I, go back to her to remind her that she has survived, that the bypass is now in the past, and that the thing she has to concentrate on now is really putting together a healthy lifestyle. And if she's able to do that, the chances of that bypass holding together for a lot of years is very, very good. So I think whether it's talks to different groups, and I do a lot, as you know, with dental health professionals, or whether it's in my writing, I try to stress two things, and that is the practical application of the most current science. We've got to make sure that our decisions are made on credible, acceptable science and not some pop deal that wants to sell us a bunch of supplements. And that, so in addition to the science, we want to give it practical application and apply that with a positive mental attitude. That makes it all come together.
I'm glad you brought up positive mental attitude. That was going to be my next question. So you have a book called Positive Mind, Healthy Heart. Can you talk a little bit about that book and the basic idea behind that?
Yeah, the idea behind it was I think that people sometimes make a mistake, and I certainly have, by trying to look at changes with too long a period. And I finally figured out that the only thing that I could control was today. So I forget about yesterday. If I made a mistake and I took a bath in chocolate chips, it's over, it's done. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm not going to be anxious about tomorrow because it's not even here yet. All I want to do when I wake up today is to be able to say, I know that I can be healthy today. I know that there's a 45-minute walk in my day today. I know that there is a healthy lunch in my day today. And what helps me do that is I look first thing in the morning for a motivational story or anecdote that will motivate me to be healthy today. And so I took the collection that I had that was on loose leaf paper and put it into a book, a little book called A Positive Mind, Healthy Heart. And there's 365 days worth of stories and anecdotes and quotes. And so when I got up this morning and I reached over and thumbed to the right page of the book, the quote that leapt out at me was, "There are no gold medals for the 95-yard dash." Well, I had to think about that for a minute, and it really spoke to me. That what it meant was, even though the weather was a little cool this morning and I was under a nice down comforter, I had to go 100%. And that meant getting up, putting on my running shoes, lacing them up, and heading out the door, and that's what I did.
Wow, that's great.
Speaking of books, it's kind of interesting. Yeah. I have, I think, 13 or 14 books, and some of them have been translated into other languages, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese. And today I received a copy of a book that I've done called Prevent, Halt, and Reverse Heart Disease in Czech. Apparently nice. It's a good seller in Czechoslovakia, if you can believe that. Nice. So I was delighted to. I couldn't read a word of it, but I was delighted to get it.
Well, it sounds like to me that you are a busy person. You do travel quite a bit. I mean, there are quite a few speakers in the dental circuit, as well as a few dentists that do travel between offices, and some of them even between states too. So for somebody who's on the road, or for somebody who has a very busy lifestyle, sometimes a dentist can just have one practice, and it could be quite overwhelming. What's your best advice to them to keep themselves positive and keep themselves healthy?
Well, the positiveness in your mind, that positive mental attitude, is really a key to keeping yourself healthy, because it allows you to plan in a positive way. So if I'm going to be, I spoke in Wyoming on Monday, and so, I planned. I knew what time I was speaking. There was a block of time in the morning when I could either go out and take a walk, or I could use the health club that was inside of the hotel. So that took care of that. It's easy enough if you are practicing eating a healthy diet at home. It's easy enough to translate that into the road. Is it our restaurants 100% compliant with healthy principles? No, but you can make better choices. And so, when you do the diet and the exercise piece of it, and then even if it's not perfect, it's something, you're doing something, and you're not losing ground. And then I think the exercise helps with stress management, but also it helps to unplug sometime during the day for just about 30 minutes. You don't necessarily have to meditate, but getting away from a screen for about 30 minutes and the telephone for about 30 minutes really can help you manage your stress successfully. And people that manage their stress successfully generally manage their diet and exercise successfully. People that don't do anything about managing their stress and end up living with chronic stress invariably never get to control their diet or their exercise. So it starts with the mind, and then you just have to block the time to do it and remember how important it is.
Good. So for people listening to this podcast, is there something special you can offer them as far as anything online as far as the books are concerned? Like where can people find your information?
Well, if they go to my website, which is just my name, www.joepiscatella.com, they'll find my 4 most current books, and the most current one, called Prevent, Halt, and Reverse Heart Disease, really covers diet, exercise, and stress management in the most complete way of, I think, any book that's on the market. The book's used in over 5,500 hospitals and cardiac education and rehabilitation programs. The orientation is heart health, but it really works for everything. My feeling always has been, if you're doing good things for your heart, you're really doing good things for the rest of your body. We also have a DVD, a 1-hour DVD on stress management that's pretty successful. So there are some resources there, and we always have, some blogging or comments, and they're welcome to go there. It's just my name, joepiscatella.com.
I notice here on your website it has the Healthy Heart Cookbook, and there's a picture of something that looks like a steak in the front, and that looks like something I might have had recently, but I don't consider my steak that I had very healthy. So how does somebody look at that picture and say, well, that looks like it's healthy?
It's a flank steak, which actually is healthy. Okay. And we did that on that's a very popular book with about 500 recipes that are really very, very middle of the road. But we put that flank steak on there kind of as a way to shock people a little bit, but also to let them know that the whole business of banning certain foods or eating just certain foods doesn't make sense. It's the way it all goes together that makes sense. There is room in a healthy diet for red meat. There is room in a cardiac diet for red meat. But there is a huge difference between a flank steak, which is very low in saturated fat, and a prime rib, which is very high in saturated fat. So you can make smart choices that still are middle-of-the-road choices and get the best of both worlds. And I think that's one of the reasons why the practicality of what I do is appreciated by audiences. The fact that I have managed my heart disease successfully for 38 years while I've eaten things like flank steak really is appreciated by audiences because of the practicality. So, but we did put that there just to kind of get people's attention, and I guess we got yours.
Yeah. It did look like something I had on Saturday night. My wife and I celebrated our 13th year wedding anniversary. So.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
Once a year is not a bad thing for me to have a steak.
That's exactly right. Exactly. There are times it's the same kind of thing with having a birthday. I mean, when I have a birthday, I want a piece of chocolate cake. I do not want a peach with a candle in it. I want a piece of chocolate cake. But on the other hand, I can't afford to have a birthday every 10 days.
Right.
So it's just it's being realistic, but also being practical. You don't have to run marathons in order to have an effective exercise program. You don't have to eat cardboard boxes in order to have a healthy diet. And so I think it's nice to be able to look at what my situation is and say, gee, this guy has made a go of it for 38 years with very middle-of-the-road, moderate, practical things to do. And I think that gets appreciated by a lot of people.
Well, thank you, Joe. I really appreciate you being on the program today and appreciate all the advice that you've given to our listeners. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I enjoyed speaking to you the first time we talked, and even today I still learned a lot more from our talk. So thank you again.
Well, it's been my pleasure. I hope we get to do it again.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Now, so I'll leave your website information on the podcast as well, and it's going to be on the Facebook group as well. So thank you, Joe, and have a great day.
Thanks so much. Bye now.
Okay, bye-bye.